Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book, Fablehaven, Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary by Brandon Mull. This is the fourth book in the Fablehaven series. We had the first three books that I read and have reviewed on the channel. We have the first book, Fablehaven, which I loved, and we have book 2, Rise of the Evening Star, and Grip of the Shadow Plague, and I really enjoyed these as well. So this series has been very good thus far. And this book picks up after the events of the last book, but differently than the previous books. All the previous books take place during like the summertime usually. This book takes place during the winter break. I think because Brandon Mull didn't want to age up the characters too much again, so they only go 6 months ahead instead of a year. But in this book, we are continuing the plight of trying to stop the Society of the Evening Star from unleashing the demon prison of Zizix, and you're also they're also trying to stop the people that they believe are the secret members of this group, and they're trying to find the stuff to protect these keys as well. And so this book that continues that storyline, and I'm going to be honest, this is, I think, of the 4 books, the weakest one, but it's still a very entertaining book. I think the first 100 pages of this book, 150 pages, are really good. And the last 100 pages of this book is also really good. It's just that the middle portion of the book just fell kind of flat. I know that going into this new world building of the Dragon Sanctuary should be really interesting, but it just, unfortunately, wasn't. The first portion of the book has the main character, Kendra, get kidnapped right at the beginning of it. And I thought that was a great way to change up the story direction, and I thought it was a really interesting story. But Brandon Mull resolves that storyline like that. It resolves itself way too quickly. I felt that should have been a much longer period of the book. And what this did was it gave another character, the younger brother Seth, he had the chance to really shine in the first 100 pages and really have a lot more character development, which I really liked. And he still has character development throughout the rest of the book, but really the second half of the book is really Kendra's book. The first half is much more, in my opinion, Seth's book. So I was really enjoying that. I was like, hey, why can't they share it more? So that first 100 pages I thought were really interesting. I also thought that the ending has some really good twists. And there were some things that this book picks up on from Grip of the Shadow Plague. And when I was reading Grip of the Shadow Plague, there was a character and a journey that character went on, particularly connected with Kendra and Seth, particularly Kendra. And I was figuring that this character would go one of two ways. I figured that the author would take this character down path A, we'll call it, so I'm not spoiling anything, or take him down path B. And I was delighted when, in this book, he went down path B, and I was like, whew, okay, there's still hope for where the story's going. And then the character ends up going down path A in this book. And so I was just like, oh man, like I knew it was probably gonna happen, but man, I really wanted that character to not do that. And so that was very disappointing to me. I think that Brandon Mull did a terrific job with it, but still, I didn't like the direction that the character went. I'm being very vague, but I don't want to spoil anything. The creatures in this books, like the griffins and the dragons, were really fascinating. The discussion between the kids and the dragons and the griffins, I thought was just really interesting, and had kind of a, to me, like, again, I've said this for literally every book in the series that I've talked about, but this is the perfect blend of Narnia and the Harry Potter books. And this book, the twists in this book, the big twist is very much a Harry Potter twist, but the discussions that the kids have with the animals in this book, with the magical creatures, is very Narnia-like. So again, Brandon Mull is keeping that consistent. So it seems very obvious what his influences were. And so you have You also have some stuff in the middle of the book where they're trying to figure out if they're going to go to Worm Roost, and they're also trying to figure out if they get the keys, what are they going to do with them and stuff. And the book just wasn't as interesting in that part, unfortunately. It just didn't grab me, and I felt like it was a chore to read the middle part. But again, the beginning and the ending are worth it, I think. I think the ending makes it worth it. And the ending ends on a cliffhanger and is, in my opinion, a pretty good cliffhanger. And really makes a kind of a new dynamic. Fablehaven is supposed to be secret, specifically a secret from a specific group of people. And so that group of people is probably going to figure out about Fablehaven in the next book. And it makes me think, and this is something that Harry Potter touched on, this concept of when, like, if the Muggles found out about stuff and they'd have to, like, change their stuff, like make people forget. They don't really do that in Fablehaven. And Narnia, you never got to see the parents, like the parents' view of Narnia. You knew like the professor, because he had been to Narnia as a kid himself, but like the Pevensies never talked to their parents about Narnia in those books, and I'd be really fascinated about that. And this book, the parents do not find out about Fablehaven, but it opens the door for them to figure it out in the next book, and I'm really curious to see how that happens. And that's not a spoiler. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying that's where it's going. So I'm really interested to see how that happens. And of course, there's also the element of the cliffhanger that leads into the next book, which the title of the next book is Keys to the Demon Prison, and has a terrific cover art, which I'm excited to get to. I will get to that sometime late November, early December. So that is my review of Fablehaven, Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary. I'm going to give it like an 8. Like, I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. But when you compare it to how good the first 3 books are, it's just not as good. So don't take me wrong. This is a very entertaining book. It was up there in this past month in books I enjoyed, but it is not a favorite. So that is my review of this book. If you read this book, what did you think? What do you think of the major twist, in the final act of the book? What did you think of the cliffhanger? What do you think of my analogy of Narnia and Harry Potter smooshed together? And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.